You wake up one morning, look in the mirror, and tell yourself, today, I'll be disciplined. You feel the conviction. You've read the books, watched the videos, written the rules on your wall. You're ready. You're finally going to follow your plan. And then, 2 trades later, you break it. You revenge trade. You move your stop loss. You jump into setups you swore you wouldn't take. And by the end of the day, you're left staring at the chart, asking the same painful question every trader eventually asks. What's wrong with me? You know what to do. You've promised yourself hundreds of times, yet somehow discipline slips away. Again. This, right here, is the silent pain of trading. Not losing trades, not bad setups, but watching yourself destroy your own plan again and again. It's not about skill, it's about psychology. Because discipline isn't something you have, it's something you must become. Let me tell you about the illusion of discipline. Let's be real. Every trader starts out thinking discipline is about willpower. You think, if I just try harder, I'll follow my plan. But the truth? Willpower is a battery. It runs out. That's why you're disciplined for 3 days, 5 days, maybe a week, and then you collapse back into the same old patterns. Because discipline, built on motivation, always fails. Motivation burns hot, but fades fast. Real discipline doesn't come from energy. It comes from identity. It's not about forcing yourself to act differently. It's about becoming someone who doesn't need to force it anymore. The reason you lose discipline isn't because you're weak. It's because you're trying to fight your biology with your ego. Your brain is wired to avoid discomfort and seek short-term relief. That's why you check your trades impulsively. That's why you move stops. That's why you close winners too early. Your brain sees uncertainty as pain, and pain triggers your survival instincts, not your strategy. Let's talk about that pain, the one no one wants to admit. It's not just financial, it's emotional. It's the shame of knowing you could have done better. It's the anger when you realize the loss wasn't the market's fault, it was yours. It's watching your perfect analysis go to waste because you couldn't wait. That's the pain that breaks traders. Not losing money, but losing self-respect. You tell yourself, next time I'll do better. But next time comes, and emotions take the wheel again. And each time it happens, a piece of confidence dies. This is how most traders quietly give up. Not because they blow up their accounts, but because they stop believing they can trust themselves. So why can't you stay consistent? Because your brain doesn't change with your goals, it changes with your habits. You don't rise to your intentions, you fall to your patterns. Let's break this down. Every time you break your plan, you're teaching your brain rules don't matter. And every time you stick to it, even once, you're teaching your brain, this is who I am. The brain learns through repetition, not resolution. So when you fail after a few days, it's not that discipline didn't work. It's that you didn't stay long enough for your brain to rewire itself. You built a castle on sand, motivation, instead of stone, habit. That's the real reason you lose discipline. Here's the science. Dopamine is your brain's reward chemical. It pushes you toward things that feel exciting, new, and rewarding. In trading, that's the rush of entering a trade, watching profits rise, or chasing a setup you feel good about. But discipline, it's boring. It's repetitive. It's delayed gratification. And your brain hates delayed gratification. That's why holding a trade feels harder than entering one. That's why waiting for the perfect setup feels like torture, because discipline doesn't spike dopamine. Chaos does. Most traders are not addicted to trading. They're addicted to the emotional highs that trading gives them. The real professionals? They rewire their dopamine. They learn to find satisfaction not in the thrill of action, but in the calm of execution. They fall in love with doing it right, not winning fast.
The discipline illusion trap. Every January, thousands of traders make new rules. New journal, new goals, new schedule. And for a week or two, they feel powerful. But then reality hits. Discipline doesn't fail because you didn't plan enough. It fails because your environment still supports your old self. If your workspace is messy, if your routine is chaotic, if your phone is full of distractions, you're fighting a losing battle against triggers that are stronger than your willpower. True discipline isn't about making more rules. It's about removing friction from the rules you already have. Example: if you break your plan because you check charts too often, delete your trading app from your phone. If you revenge trade when emotional, force a 10-minute cooldown rule. If you ignore risk management, automate position sizing. You don't need more control. You need fewer decisions. That's how real fund managers operate. They don't rely on feelings. They design systems that protect them from their feelings. Here's how the cycle looks for most traders. You lose, feel pain, promise to change. You follow your rules for a few days. You feel confident again. You break the rules just once. You spiral into guilt, and repeat. You're stuck in what psychologists call the self-sabotage loop, a pattern of emotional overreaction followed by rationalization. You don't break discipline because you don't care. You break it because your brain craves emotional relief more than consistency. To break this loop, you need awareness, to catch the emotion before it becomes action. When you feel that urge to jump in early or move your stop, ask, am I acting from my plan or escaping discomfort? That single question is the crack through which awareness enters. And awareness is the birthplace of discipline. Most traders see discipline as a prison, something that limits freedom. But real traders know discipline is freedom. Freedom to act without fear. Freedom from emotional chaos. Freedom from uncertainty. When you know exactly what to do and when to do it, you don't need to overthink. You're free to execute with clarity. The reason most traders can't stay disciplined is because they see it as punishment. But when you shift your mindset, when you start seeing discipline as self-respect, it transforms everything. You stop forcing yourself to follow rules. You want to follow them because they reflect who you've chosen to become. Every consistent trader eventually learns this truth. Discipline is not something you do. It's who you are. You don't try to be disciplined. You embody it. It's the difference between saying, I have to follow my plan, and I am the kind of trader who follows my plan. The first feels forced. The second feels natural. You see, your behavior always aligns with your identity. If you identify as a struggling trader trying to get better, your subconscious will keep creating struggle. But if you identify as a professional who executes with discipline, your behavior will begin to follow, automatically. That's how you make discipline last longer than a week. You make it part of who you are, not what you're trying to do. This is the identity shift. Discipline is not built in moments of excitement. It's built in rituals of boredom. The way you start your trading day, the way you review your charts, the way you log your trades. These small, repetitive actions train your brain to associate structure with safety. And once structure feels safe, discipline becomes effortless. Think about elite athletes. They don't rely on hype to perform.
They rely on routine. Professional traders are the same. Their power comes not from motivation, but from momentum. They don't wake up and decide whether to be disciplined today. They've already decided, long ago, through their systems and habits. There's no avoiding pain in trading, but pain can destroy you or discipline you, depending on how you use it. Most traders use pain as punishment. They lose, get angry, and spiral. Professionals use pain as information. They ask, "What did this loss teach me about my behavior?" The difference between amateurs and professionals isn't that pros don't feel emotions. It's that they don't let emotions dictate their response. Pain is not the enemy of discipline. Pain is the path to it. Because only through pain do you truly learn what triggers you and what controls you. Now that you understand why discipline fades, here's how to make it last. Step 1. Simplify your rules. You don't need 20 commandments. You need 3 core principles you never break. The simpler the plan, the easier it is to execute. Step 2. Create accountability. Share your plan with someone. Write it, record it. Make it real, outside your head. Step 3. Reward consistency, not results. Stop measuring success by profit. Measure it by execution quality. Every day you follow your rules, even with a loss, is a win. Step 4. Expect failure. Plan for it. You will break discipline again. But instead of guilt, use reflection. Ask, what pattern repeated here? The goal is not perfection. It's progress. Trading is a game of probabilities, but also a test of psychology. Discipline is not about control. It's about trust. Trusting your process. Trusting your edge. Trusting yourself. When you build discipline, you're not just training your actions. You're training your nervous system to stay calm under pressure. That's why consistent traders look boring. They're emotionally neutral, not because they don't care, but because they've learned that emotions are noise. The market doesn't reward emotion. It rewards patience. And patience is born from discipline. Paul Tudor Jones, one of the greatest traders in history, once said, "Don't focus on making money. Focus on protecting what you have." That's discipline in its purest form. He knew that the difference between long-term survival and destruction isn't intelligence. It's the ability to stay patient and humble, especially when everything screams to act. He once fired himself from his own trading desk for breaking his rules. That's how seriously he treated discipline, not as preference, but as principle. Let me ask you, when was the last time you kept your promise to yourself? Because that's all discipline really is, keeping promises to yourself. Every time you follow your plan, you're telling your subconscious, "I can trust you." And every time you break it, that trust erodes. If you want to build lasting discipline, stop chasing results. Start building trust between your actions and your intentions. That's what separates traders who make it from those who quit. It's not intelligence. It's not strategy. It's self-trust. When you can look at yourself after a trading day, win or lose, and know you acted with integrity, that's when you've already won. Because discipline isn't about never breaking. It's about never giving up on the process of becoming unbreakable. Remember this, you don't need perfect discipline to succeed. You just need consistent honesty with yourself. Every small act of discipline compounds into control. Every controlled decision compounds into confidence. And every confident trader eventually becomes a consistent one. So stop trying to be perfect. Start becoming disciplined, one promise at a time. Because the traders who win are not the ones who never fall, but the ones who never stop standing back up. Discipline is not what you do when you're motivated. It's what you do when you're tired, bored, and uncertain. And that's what makes it the ultimate edge.